How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of The Creator Reacts. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey James, we're treading similar water to last episode, which, by the ratings of the video, didn't really go very well. Well, rest assured, I've taken all the feedback, both negative and positive, and with this episode, hopefully you guys will get a better idea of how this series is going to look. I hope the Mary Poppins Returns episode is more of an outlier as opposed to the norm, if that makes sense. With that being said, we are returning once again to the realm of Channel Awesome and the Nostalgia Critic to react to a request that we received on the Mary Poppins Returns reaction from Boom, or Boom, still haven't quite gotten the gist of to which angle I should point to. Thank you for your suggestion, and without any further ado, let's react to the top 11 Disney Princess Conspiracies. Now, actually, before we do that, I should also mention this is a review that came out in 2016, so this is back when there was a review and then an editorial. This is more of an editorial, which I don't mind. I don't mind that at all. I actually kind of like the editorials. But I haven't seen this one for a while, so my reaction should be fairly fresh. So, yeah, without any further ado, let's cue the video.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. Disney princesses.
Oh, let's
they
get rid of that.
represent everything kind, ethical, powerful, and beautiful. And absolute clickbait whenever mentioned online. This is my feeble attempt to catch on that.
Elsa, Spider-Man.
I love to talk about them so much. They represent what we want to be, but have been criticized often for either being too flawed or too perfect. Maybe that's one of the reasons we like to write conspiracies about them. Fan theories and gossip that often can't be proven to be true or false. It's humanizing to think there's secrets behind those flawless smiles that might actually make them more complex or even more
Princess and the Frog was a good movie. I recommend people watch that.
Sites have gone nuts, coming up with their own reasons
Brave.
on why certain things
Mulan. I haven't seen Mulan. I want to.
Truth be told, I've come up with a few as well. This is a combination of them to give a new point of view on the fairy tales.
That's a lot of sparkles.
So well.
That's a lot of
We're
sparkles.
Look at the top 11 of them here today. Why top 11? Because I like to go
one step beyond.
So, sit back and enjoy the top 11 Disney Princess Conspiracies.
Christ. So, is that implying all of Disney is dead now?
Beauty and the Beast takes place in Notre Dame? We know that the story is set in France despite only one person having a French accent. But why would they all be speaking English anyway? One conspiracy at a time! But where exactly in France is it? The theory is that not only could it possibly be around Notre Dame, but maybe it all happened at the exact same time Quasimodo and Frollo were having their, adventures. My first thought is that's false because Notre Dame seems like a giant place full of tall buildings.
Yeah, and Belle's is a very little town.
Small. But doing research, there does seem to be not only quite a few towns over the years, but also mountains and landscapes very similar to the ones they explored. Seeing how the beast was transformed and people seem to have just forgotten or ignored him as their prince, maybe this gave a chance for the church to take over and Frollo to rule. Hell, it's established at the end that the gargoyles aren't part of Quasimodo's imagination. Maybe they did something to piss off the same enchantress that transformed the beast. But still, there's no hard evidence. Unless at one point Belle had her nose so deep in a book that she just accidentally walked
I know what he's referring,
by the
yeah.
tower. Holy shit!
And the magic carpet and
I'm not kidding, that's a real scene from Hunchback of Notre Dame. When Quasimodo is singing the song Out There, you can clearly see Belle walking by. Well, we may not have an official word from the creators, but that's a pretty big clue right there. So, does Belle live in Notre Dame? Let's hope so, because a battle between Frollo and the Beast would be friggin' awesome.
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to see that now. Frollo and his gigantic army versus the Beast and all the enchanted objects. Get on that, Kingdom Hearts.
Lilo and Stitch's namesake. Okay, I know Lilo isn't technically a princess, but I think she dressed up like one on her TV show. Does that count? I'm saying that counts. Not much thought has really been
I mean,
given
to
the
be
meaning
fair,
of the name
Esmeralda and
Stitch's
Alice from
name.
Alice in Wonderland were
Stitch
technically
is a weird
princesses
enough
at one
name for an
point, so
alien,
I
naughty
think it's all fair
basic
game.
term for beautiful. And, well, There's a guy named Bubbles. We're not exactly going to interpret much from how they're called. But looking a little deeper, you'll discover that Lilo
Love
is
that
actually
running
a
gag.
homonym having two definitions. Generous one or lost. Generous one is an obvious meaning, it's a Disney movie and she can obviously be very nice. But Lost obviously has a connection to the loss of her parents,
I
and
haven't
how her
watched Lilo and
family,
Stitch in
or
a
what's
long
left of
time.
it, is growing further apart.
That was a big
Even
thing
Stitch
when I was
goes
a
into the
kid.
middle of the night
I
repeating
remember
the word
loving
over
that
and
TV
over.
show.
Okay, I guess that kinda connects, but so what? Well, when Stitch enters their lives, things get more hectic, but he also manages to help their connection. And what does Stitch mean but to patch things up, bring two separated pieces closer? So, the actual title to Lilo and Stitch could just as easily be called Lost and Pulled Together. This suddenly gives a deeper relevance to what
I
was
never even thought of
seemingly a
that.
simple title. So we see, maybe there's more in a name than we thought with this movie. I guess that's interesting, but we still don't know why the Warner Brothers have a sister who's just randomly named Dot. Oh my god, my life makes sense!
So does mine. Damn.
Number 9.
Alright, what's number 9?
Mulan is actually more than a princess. There's an ongoing argument among Disney fans about whether or not Mulan should be featured in the Disney Princess lineup. Not because of her character or anything like that, but because she's never in any way given that title. She wasn't born into
as
royalty,
I've said
married into
before,
royalty, and all she
Alice
did was
and
hug an emperor.
Esmeralda were technically in that
Maybe
line at
his
some
royalness
point,
rubbed
so
off, making her a
I
princess?
think it's more of a title as
Nevertheless,
opposed to like
anytime there's
actual
a selling of
you know,
toys or you need
kingship
all the princesses
or
lined
queenship.
up, she's always in there. So why would they showcase something that clearly didn't happen? Well, Mulan, by many respects, does what none of them have ever done. Saving an entire nation, countless numbers of people, and doing it all in a non-conventional way, despite that could have caused her great dishonor. Because of this, the Emperor of China bows to her, and it's indicated that this never happens. He even offers her a position by his side, but she turns it down. So, from her accomplishments, and a bow from someone as high up as the Emperor, in many respects, Mulan is even greater than a princess. She's the protector of an entire nation, and what is royalty but the protector of one's land and people? So, in the same way Elsa's often in the lineup, even though she's technically a queen, or Pocahontas is in the lineup, even though she's technically a chief's daughter, Mulan isn't promoting herself letting people call her princess, she's demoting herself, because such acts offered her even higher authority. But the values that Disney likes to market as princessy are still there, so it kinda makes sense to have her in the lineup. So, is she a princess? Well, to quote Obi-Wan,
from a certain point of view.
In fact, she shouldn't just be princess, she should be dead center with a sword in her hand leading the damn army. But 2 away from the left ain't bad.
That little baby is all grown up and saving China.
Number 8. Jasmine inspires a secret identity. A good chunk of the story Aladdin is about the power of appearance. You see, Princess Jasmine pretends to be a
You're gonna have to
peasant,
do a
is
lot
married
to
peasant
get me with an
to
Aladdin
pretend to be a
theory.
prince,
I think I've heard them
inspiring-
all.
Well, there's nobody else left, right? Maybe not. Ever notice the voice of that merchant in the opening sounded a little familiar?
It's
No
Robin
surprise,
Williams.
It's Robin Williams, who also provided the voice of the genie. But wait, why would they have him in a dual role? I mean, it's funny and all, but it's not like this film is short on Robin Williams' talents. Well, a theory has been circulating that this is actually the genie in disguise, inspired by the charade started by Jasmine to get people's attention by pretending to be someone else. He even kinda looks like him, with a similar beard, high energy, and even wearing blue. However, the end of the 3rd Aladdin movie, the one that went straight to video, shows him once again as seemingly just the merchant. I guess he waited several years to finish that supposed 3-part story. So it seemed like there was no real connection until the director came out recently and announced that, yes, this was always the idea. The genie was telling the story about Aladdin as the merchant. It just had to be cut out of the ending because of time and budget restraints.
Kind of true, but also kind of not true. The story that I've heard is that when they were you can actually find the video on YouTube. It's one of the work print endings that has the genie's dialogue actually done by Robin Williams in there. It's one of the rare Robin Williams' audio recordings that didn't make the diamond edition. They do this scene where they fly off into the moon, and then the genie comes back or the peddler, I should say, comes back and says happy end to the tale. Sure, you don't want to buy this lamp, as as I said, things are not always what they seem. Poof, genie appears. Are they? Poof, laughing, and the end. But when they screened it, I want to say for then head of Disney Animation, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Katzenberg basically told him, "Guys, your movie's over," and they were forced to cut him. I don't think it was budget. I think it was for timing, but I still think, I mean, if you think about it, back in the early 2000s when they were doing the Platinum editions, they did Beauty and the Beast extended with Human again. They did Lion King extended with Morning Report. I'm kind of surprised they didn't make a quote unquote extended cut with that ending. Even you didn't even have, excuse me, you wouldn't even have had to have called it extended, but who knows? Maybe they just didn't think it was worth the time and energy if it was just going to be like 5 seconds of animation.
You notice in the first film, the merchant never does come back. So, we could draw
But
the
it was
conclusion
always
that the
the
merchant at the
intended
end of
for him to come
Aladdin
back.
and Aladdin 3 is also the genie, enjoying his freedom in disguise as you never do see the two of them on screen at the same time. And all of it stemmed from a princess inspiring a peasant, inspiring a genie, emphasizing what was said right at the beginning.
It is not what is outside, but what is inside that counts.
Okay, so that one I kind of
Number 7.
knew about. So he's like 1 for 3.
Snow White is 14?
What?
The princesses have a knack for looking a lot older than they really are. In fact, the technical grandma of the group is Elsa at 21. Yeah, she's the only one you could buy a drink for at a bar. Or maybe her buy you one, it'd be cool.
Iced beer.
Most of them look like they're at least in their early 20s. And while some come close, like Cinderella and Tiana are 19 and Rapunzel and Pocahontas are 18, none of them pass the big 2-0. Some of them look about right. Ariel and Mulan certainly seem 16, and I guess Belle could maybe pass for 17. But how the hell is
Belle
Snow
looks a lot
White
older
14?
than that.
Just look at the live-action reference. Does that look anywhere close to that age? The thought is that Disney wanted to appeal to small girls thinking they could be a princess, but also didn't want her to seem too old so that they couldn't imagine themselves in the role. 14 seemed like an okay in-between for someone to seem girlish, but also, given the time period, be able to live with her prince. It's a strange choice that really doesn't hold up today, and to be honest, nobody was really buying anyway. But that is the official age that's often announced. Whatever, until I see a 14-year-old Snow White working at Disney World, I don't believe it. Why can't you be closer to Jasmine's age, who's only a year older? Are you kidding me, guys? How does that contrast with the princes, who all have no documented ages whatsoever? I guess age really is just a number.
Yeah, apparently.
And sometimes not even that.
Okay.
Number 6.
Keep that in mind next time you're watching the movie, guys.
Belle is an outcast because she wears blue. Now don't get me wrong, everything sung about her is true. She does keep to herself, doesn't gossip, and
She is the only one in the town that wears blue, isn't she?
But have you ever noticed no one else in the town wears the color blue? Like, at all? Look at it. Nobody even comes close. There
There's a couple
apparently
purples.
isn't one piece of blue cloth in the entire town. Why on earth is that? Well, the only other character you eventually see wear blue is the Beast. And according to the intro, he was a selfish and unkind ruler. Maybe people associated what he wore with something negative. Like if you saw someone walking down the street with a Hitler mustache. It's not legal or anything, but it's a touch off-putting. But seeing how it was so long ago they forgot if they even have a prince, maybe they forgot why the color blue was unfashionable too.
Or if you're going by 2017 logic rules, the Enchantress just erase the mind.
More meaningful, seeing how they're both outcasts in their own unique way.
God, I
Just
hate
a
that
theory,
remake
but it
so
does make
much.
Both her and the Prince of Notre Dame stand out.
L'amour.
I guess there might have been an
Number
ad
5.
there break. There might have been an ad break there.
Glove story. So something not very surprising is that some of the princesses wear gloves. No big shock, they're about as common an accessory as tiaras or jewelry. But there's been an interesting theory floating around. Out of all the princesses, only 3 seem to wear them. Tiana,
Really?
Cinderella, and Belle. Well, okay, but so what? All of them have one thing in common. Can you guess what it is?
So what were the princesses again?
Can you guess what it is? One thing in common.
Why
Them
can't I get
have
the clip?
All wear them. Tiana, Cinderella, and Belle.
Princess. Okay, so Tiana, Belle, and Cinderella. I'm assuming because they married a prince, like they weren't natural born royalty, I guess.
Well, okay, but so what?
Because
All of them
Cinderella
have
married the
one
prince, Belle
thing in
married the
common.
beast.
Can you
Tiana
guess what
married
it
the
is?
Beast.
None of them were born into being princesses.
Oh, I was
they had
right.
to hook up with a prince and marry into it. And strangely enough, none of the other Disney princesses wear gloves. The ones that married into it are the only ones. Could it be there's some sort of connection or message we're not seeing? Is it that they came from more hardworking backgrounds, so they hide their hands because they think they might look too roughed up? Maybe Disney is doing a subtle commentary on touching between common folk and higher-ups. Or maybe they have rocket fingers that shoot fire out of their fingernails, and they want to keep them covered so that nobody suspects their plans for world domination. Okay, the probable likelihood is that the time periods these three were a part of just had gloves as common accessories. Even Elsa wore them a lot in her film, and she was born in royalty.
That's
But
true.
she does take them off, but only when she's queen. But only when... Okay, I can't connect everything. Nevertheless, it's an interesting coincidence, and whether or not they want to admit to their fire-shooting nails is entirely up to them. But just know, we'll be watching. Number 4.
That one was actually kind of interesting.
The Leaning Tower of Penis.
Oh, Lord.
This one goes back a long ways. And yes, I did mean it that way. On both the poster and VHS cover of The Little Mermaid, people swear that one of the towers looks particularly, penetrating.
I mean,
For years, people have been claiming that the artist not once, but twice snuck in a dong on the marketing for one of the most famous kids' films of all time. Is it possible somebody just thought they could sneak that in with nobody noticing? I guess so, but there is also a theory that the castle is based very much on a style of architecture that, well, can be rather phallic. There is a naivete that some people have when they focus too much on a project. And it's totally possible maybe the person who put this together just didn't notice. Was it intentional?
that's
Who
what
knows?
I would
But for
think.
the rest of
I don't
us,
think
we've been
same thing
laughing
like
our
in the
asses off
Aladdin,
until
how
they finally
people
brought the
thought
movie to
that I think it was on a
DVD and
Laserdisc
scrapped
or
the
something
cover
that
art.
like when
Was it because
the
this
Prince
image
Ali
was just
Aladdin's
too
getting shot away
distracting
by
and controversial?
Raja,
Hard to
they
say.
think he says
And
something
yes, I
like
meant that
good
one too.
teenagers
The
take
Disney
off their
covers have
clothes,
changed
even
a
though
lot
what he's
over the
actually
years,
saying
so
is
we can't
good
really
kitty
know
scat
100%.
take
Whatever
off
the
or
reason,
something.
this lives on as one of those
It's
great
people
snake
like
room
just
moments you don't want
reading
to look at or
into
can't possibly turn away from.
things, even if you have to like
Oh,
really listen in,
Lord.
because people just think they're trying to sneak that stuff in. But I think it's just naive. Or like in Lion King, how it says
Elsa's reason for no
SFX for special effects, but they
Sure,
think it
we
says
see Anna gets
sex.
not one, but two suitors
Oh,
in
hold on.
Frozen, but notice nobody
Just rewind
ever
it
said
back a
no
little bit.
boyfriend.
I was talking over it, and I just want to make sure I can hear what the thing is.
Elsa's reason for no boyfriend.
Okay.
Sure, we see Anna gets not one, but two suitors in Frozen, but notice nobody ever seems to go for Elsa, and Elsa doesn't seem to go for anybody either? This might be from an increasingly popular theory that Elsa could very well be a lesbian. I'm not exactly sure why she's the one singled out. After all, Merida not only doesn't get a boyfriend in Brave, but she turns down everyone that's offered to her. Maybe Brave wasn't popular enough or interesting enough to garner such
No,
a theory.
no,
but
it
Frozen
wasn't.
certainly is.
No, it wasn't.
This idea is catching on like wildfire, to the point where there's even a hashtag pushing for the sequel to give Elsa a girlfriend. This could mean Elsa
wouldn't
would
mind
be
that.
the first lesbian princess. Even though
I wouldn't
again,
mind
she's
that, and I
technically a
think
queen,
it
but
could.
that's not gonna
There
stop
could
them from
be,
putting it in the lineup. It seems to be a
there
healthy
could be some
trend
room
with
to
more
do
and
it.
more gay characters popping up.
Or
in
it wouldn't
children's
just
shows and
be like,
movies.
we're doing
In
it for the
fact,
sake of
Frozen
doing it.
arguably already has a gay character, with many saying the store owner might have been waving to his husband in the sauna. A touch debatable, but still possible. I guess we can't know till the sequel comes out if, well, Elsa does too. We don't even know if they'll address Aladdin and Trezor in the
okay.
next one. Chances are they can milk this baby's popularity for several sequels. They can take as long as they want with this. But with tons of fans and even her voice actress Adele Dazeem saying she's on board for it, this might be a theory that could possibly hold some frozen water.
Again, I think it actually would be good. Get more inclusivity.
Number 2. Hercules and Ariel are related? How the hell is that possible? They don't
Yeah.
even take place in the same time periods.
Yeah, really.
Well, knowing the incredibly factual scientific research of Greek gods and mer people, it can be concluded that their lifespans can be debatably long. Even if that were true though, how would these two have any connection? You see, in Greek mythology, Hercules' father Zeus is brother to another god named Poseidon, seen here in Disney's very odd rendition. Poseidon has many, many sons, and one of them is named, that's right, Triton. A different Triton, perhaps? That'd be a pretty big coincidence, seeing how both of them have mystical powers connected to living underwater. Whether it's the original Triton or a name just passed down through the family, there is definitely a relation, and Triton's seventh daughter is, of course,
Ariel.
Because of this, that technically means Hercules is Triton's first cousin and Ariel is Hercules' cousin once removed. Yeah, it's strange to think that these two might actually have some blood between them. It's made even stranger when you consider the fact that Hercules also seemingly existed at the same time the
Scar's
hyenas
mane,
killed
or
Scar in
Scar's
The Lion
pelt.
King. This could all just be coincidence, but for Disney conspiracy nuts like myself, I like to think maybe people are keeping it more in the family than we think.
That's one of my favorite in-jokes in any Disney movie, is
And
the
the
Scar
number one
pelt from
Disney
Hercules.
Princess Conspiracy is...
Just because it's so
The ship
unabashed.
from
Like,
Frozen is connected to Tangled and The Little Mermaid.
okay, yeah, we've heard about
You're
this one
probably
before.
sick of seeing this one everywhere, but
Yeah.
the fact is, it's still a pretty damn good theory. The ship carrying the parents of Elsa and Anna is seen sinking at the beginning of Frozen. The first part of the theory indicates that they were heading to Rapunzel's coronation, which was happening at the end of Tangled. Why jump to that conclusion? Well, on top of Rapunzel attending Elsa's coronation, the timelines actually do match up. After the death of the parents, Frozen skips 3 years, the exact amount of time in between Frozen and Tangled's release dates. But where's The Little Mermaid come in? Well, Little Mermaid was also a Hans Christian Andersen story like Snow Queen, which Frozen is based on. Little Mermaid is set off the coast of Denmark, which means it's totally possible that the graveyard of ships seen in both the opening and ending of the movie could very well contain the ship that had Elsa and Anna's parents on it. It's unlikely it's the one she's searching through or the one that the prince steers at the end, as their designs are very different, but it's not implausible to think that in all her treasure hunts, maybe she did come across the very same one. Again, even though there's no conclusive evidence of any of it, it does seem totally possible.
Yeah.
And when you throw in Hercules and Lion King being connected as well, that's 5 universes you would swear have nothing in common, all suddenly connected. Crazy, you say? Maybe. Or maybe it's the best Disney princess conspiracy ever devised. Or maybe it's crazy, but maybe
Yep.
it's the best Disney princess conspiracy ever devised. Or maybe we all just have too much time on our hands. That's probably not it. I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. Coming next week, it's the fan-requested
Oh,
Gem
right,
of the
this is
Holocaust,
back when he would
cinematic
do the,
portrayal of the 80s cartoon. But you can see it now under Vessel's
Vessel,
ad-free
right,
early
where he would do
access.
the Vessel
Just
early
$3
release.
a month to see tons
I kind of
of
wish he
people's
would
videos early, as
bring
well as a
that back,
bunch
or
of
at least
other
tell you
extra
what he's going to
features.
do next.
Check it out and get the early
I can see why he can stop doing it if there's no need for it, but I kind of want to still do it. Alright, so, that's the video. I mean, there were a lot of them that I've heard about. There were a couple that I didn't, like the glove one. I think was very interesting. I think the one about the peddler, I think, is basically common knowledge at this point that was what the original intention was. To the point where, like, even in like the Broadway show, the guy who plays the genie also does sing Arabian Nights. But you know, I imagine if you didn't know it, your mind would be absolutely blown. Let me just skim through the video here. The one about the poster, again, I just think that's just, a naive person, and a lot of just people just looking too deep into it to try to find something when there isn't any. Uh, the Beauty and the Beast one, the one about Belle being the only one who wears blue, I think is also a very subtle thing that you wouldn't catch probably on a first viewing. So a lot of these I think are very subtle. The only one that I did kind of strike a little bit of an issue with is the first one with Hunchback, only because uh, that only because he didn't really bring it up. But I would consider that more like an Easter egg, because even in the same scene, you see somebody beating out a carpet, which is the magic carpet from Aladdin, and then two guys are carrying a pig on a stick, and that's what's the word? Pumbaa from the Lion King. And he didn't really draw those connections. He kind of just stuck with Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback. But it's all good. So yeah, that's the video. I hope you all enjoy, or rather, that's the reaction. I hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below if what you thought of these theories. Leave a comment below if you have something you want me to react to. I'll do it in due time. And once again, thank you to this person for suggesting the top 11 Disney Princess Conspiracies. And until next time, later.